Hi, I'm Brooke, SOFLETE's lead registered dietitian nutritionist.
And I'm Christian, and today we're going to talk about fueling the female athlete. Now, Brooke, we have a ton of videos about nutrition. Why are we doing a separate one just pointed at women?
Because women are different as far as our anatomy, our physiology, and our hormones, so we should be treated differently than a male athlete. When it comes to sports nutrition research, about 2 to 3% of test subjects are women. That's really low, considering female athletes have a much bigger presence.
Why do you suppose there are so few test subjects that are women in diet research?
A lot of it has to do with research dollars and where funding goes, but it's really important that we're being mindful of nutrition issues that may arise with a female athlete.
Okay, so we all know about the hormonal differences that women are different than men. You guys have different bone density, different structures, and obviously a different hormone profile. How does that affect what you guys need to eat versus men?
Well, some really common problems that the female athlete has is going to be an iron deficiency, calcium deficiency, vitamin D deficiency, and fatigue. And those will all affect your training, and they can absolutely lead to dire health consequences.
Is there a way to supplement those in your diet without just taking the pills?
Absolutely. Honestly, just making sure you're properly fueled and not under-fueling is enough. And we're going to go over some of those in detail.
So the answer is to eat more, not less.
Yes. So a really common problem with female athletes is that they are under-fueling and overtraining. When those are coupled together, there can be issues.
Overtraining and underfueling is a really common problem with everybody, not just women, but does it hit women a different way than men?
Absolutely. There's something called the female athlete triad, and there's 3 big clinical markers: menstrual dysfunction, low energy availability, and that can be with or without the presence of an eating disorder, and low bone mineral density. So you'll see osteoporosis even occurring in really young women. So this can lead to all kinds of problems, including bone fractures, extreme fatigue that can affect performance. But one of the main things that occurs is the ovaries are actually cutting back the production of estrogen. And so then you have this cascade of hormone dysfunction where you will see the loss of menstruation and all these other issues that arise.
If you are a woman and you are training heavily and you see some of these symptoms, where would be a good place to start fixing your problem?
To gradually start increasing your calories. If you're someone who's been underfueling and overtraining for a long period of time, this should be a gradual rise.
What would that look like for somebody who has a very, very consistent diet, a gradual increase? Would that be an extra candy bar or obviously not candy bar? What would that look like for somebody who is training and has a consistent diet? Would that just be an extra protein shake during the day or an extra sandwich? What do you think?
So the main things is to incorporate whole foods. And I'm not talking about the grocery store. I'm talking about real food when you shop the perimeter of the grocery store, not the stuff in the middle that's in a box or a bag. And then the other main thing is you want to be increasing by about 300 to 400 calories. Don't start with that off the bat. Start slow, 50 to 100 calories, and then you want to add that extra fuel around your activity. You want to make your food work for you, especially your carbs, kind of bookending your workouts with quality nutrition.
How fast will I notice a change?
You'll absolutely notice a change in performance almost immediately when you start fueling the body correctly. But it is important that you go slow and steady, especially as females. We've got so many hormonal changes that occur. You want to be kind to your body and working your way back up, or you might have an unwanted rebound in a lot of ways.
So most women who walk into the gym are pursuing some kind of a goal. A lot of the time that is loss of fat and more lean body mass. What is a healthy range to be pursuing for a woman?
So women need more essential body fat. And essential body fat is the fat you need to maintain normal physiological function. For women, that's thought to be around 10 to 13%. This is based on numbers by the American Council on Exercise. This number can be different for some athletes where they still have normal, menstrual function, other physiological functions at a lower, leaner weight, depending on the individual and their sport. And that's okay. But in general, 10 to 13% essential body fat is needed. And then anywhere from 14 and above, you have kind of these athlete ranges or fit ranges. And then it's considered normal, according to the American Council on Exercise, that anywhere from 25 to 31% body fat for a female. So we have much higher body fat percentages than men in general. So for a female athlete who is interested in leaning out for whatever reason that might be, really only 300 to 400 calories need to be removed at a time. And this slow and steady taper of calories is safe as long as you're not overtraining coupled with this lower calorie intake.
Okay, so when you reduce your intake, you also might want to think about reducing your output.
Not necessarily, just don't be burning it down. And then what's going to happen is you're going to actually have this calorie deficit of 700 calories. So that needs to be mindful and paired with your training that 300 to 400 calories roughly, no more than 500 of a deficit a day.
All this wisdom can be found in the app, right?
Well, all of this is absolutely factored into how we do things with SOFLETE nutrition. Really important thing. When you remove those calories, do not remove them from the meals or snacks surrounding your training. Make your fuel, specifically your carbs, work for you.
Okay, so sandwich your training in between some really solid meals to give yourself effective fuel for the workout.
Right. So then other meals and snacks further away from your training times, that's where you should be pulling calories from to create that deficit.
Okay, so if you're training at noon, make sure you have a solid meal right before and right after. And if you are trying to cut calories, maybe cut them at breakfast or cut them at dinner.
Absolutely.
Okay.
The same thing applies if you're trying to gain weight or muscle mass. You want to add about 300 to 400 calories a day and then add your extra fuel in around your training to support performance, because that really is the goal, optimal performance.
So can you talk to me about the details of menstruation with regards to diet?
Those are words I never thought I would hear, but yes. So I'm going to break it down like a down and dirty. There's obviously a ton of details that you can go into, and I will link up some good resources for those who are interested. But I'm going to go ahead for simplicity and break this into two phases. We're going to talk about the follicular phase and the luteal phase.
I'm not a girl. These words scare me. What is the follicular and luteal phase?
So the follicular phase is going to be from your period to ovulation, which is when that egg is being released. And there's different hormones associated. So with the follicular phase, your estrogen and your progesterone are lower. So what happens in the female body is you actually have better utilization of carbohydrates, which basically just means the use of carbohydrates.
So that means more carbs between your period and your ovulation.
Exactly. So you're going to fuel with more carbs. Your fat's going to be a little lower. See, you're learning. You're so good at this. And then the body can utilize it. So this would be a really good time, since you do have this increase in carb utilization, to do things like high intensity workouts, like think strength and power. So you can make this cycle work for you. It shouldn't be something that's considered a negative and hindered. Instead, work with your body.
Okay, and how is the luteal phase different?
So that's going to be after ovulation to then the start of your next period, roughly. And those hormones are going to change, and you're actually going to be better at fat oxidation at this time. So this is when you want to do some moderate intensity exercise. You can scale back your carbs a little bit because you're storing muscle glycogen, your liver glycogen stores are full. So this would be the time to then switch a little more fat, a little less carb. If you do moderate intensity endurance exercise, it can increase that fat burning that your body basically already is doing.
Okay, so this is when you're training for your half marathon. The more you know.
The main takeaway here is you can capitalize on certain things that are happening in the female body and in your cycle and really use it for your advantage when it comes to performance.
Ladies, stay tuned. Keep an eye out for our next video concerning women in strength training.
Make sure to click subscribe and ring that bell. I'm also going to link up more information in the comments. You can always visit us at SOFLETE.com for more information as well.